Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Hope Hillingdon Online. It is so wonderful to have you join us this morning. In my house with my family, I normally get dressed in my best clothes to prepare to worship God. We often get out some instruments as I sing to God before listening to God's word. This time is important to me because I can worship God and thank Him for always being there for me. I encourage you to sing and worship God along with me this morning, wherever you are.
Justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. When you move, the outcast finds a family. When you move, finds a home. Lonely we are, oh, teach us to love mercy. With humble hearts, we bow down at your throne. So come, justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. To you, King of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you alone. Justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. to you. So God, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. We see what you can do, oh God of wonders. Your power has no end. The things you've done before, in greater measure, you will do again. There's no prison wall you can break through, no mountain you can move. All things are possible. There's no broken body you can raise, no soul that you can save. All things are possible. The darkest night, you can light it up. You can light it up. Oh God of revival, let hope arise. Death is overcome. You've already won. Oh God of revival, you rose in victory, and now you're seated forever on the throne. So why should my heart fear what you defeated? I will trust in you alone. There's no prison wall you can break through, no mountain you can move. All things are possible. There's no broken body you can raise, no soul that you can save. All things are possible. The darkest night, you can light it up. You can light it up. Oh God of revival, let hope arise. Death is overcome. You've already won. Oh God of revival, the darkest night, you can light it up. You can light it up. Oh God of revival, let hope arise. Death is overcome. You've already won. Oh God of revival, you God of revival. Come awaken your people. Come awaken the city. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Every stronghold will crumble. I hear the chains hit the ground. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Come awaken your people. Come awaken the city. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Every stronghold will crumble. I hear the chains hit the ground. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. The darkest night, you can light it up. You can light it up. Oh God of revival, let hope arise. Death is overcome. You've already won. Oh God of revival, come awaken your people. Come awaken this city. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Every stronghold will crumble. I hear the chains hit the ground. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Come awaken your people. Come awaken this city. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. Every stronghold will crumble. I hear the chains hit the ground. Oh God of revival, pour it out, pour it out. And I searched the world, but it couldn't feel me. A man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. You came along and put me back together. And every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. And I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you see them all, and you still call me friend. 'Cause the God of the mountains is the God of the valley. There's not a place your mercy, your grace won't find me again. Oh, there's nothing there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Lord, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can.
Mark 5, verses 21 to 43 says this. When Jesus had again crossed over by boat to the other side of the lake, a large crowd gathered around him while he was by the lake. Then one of the synagogue leaders, named Jairus, came, and when he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet. He pleaded earnestly with him, "My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so that she will be healed and live." So Jesus went with him. A large crowd followed and pressed around him, and a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had, yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, because she thought, "If I just touch his clothes, I will be healed." Immediately, her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. At once, Jesus realized that power had gone out from him. He turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" "You see the people crowding against you," his disciple answered, "and yet you can ask, 'Who touched me?'" But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet and trembled with fear, told him the truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." While Jesus was still speaking, some people came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. "Your daughter is dead," they said. "Why bother the teacher anymore?" Overhearing what they said, Jesus told them, "Don't be afraid, just believe." He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw a commotion, with people crying and wailing loudly. He went in and said to them, "Why all this commotion and wailing? The child is not dead, but asleep." But they laughed at him. After he put them all out, he took the child's father and mother and the disciples who were with him and went in where the child was. He took her by the hand and said to her, "Talitha kum," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." Immediately, the girl stood up and began to walk around. At this, they were completely astonished. He gave strict orders not to let anyone know about this and told them to give her something to eat.
So we've just heard read to us two stories from the Gospel of Mark. Two stories that are intertwined with one another. We have Jairus, whose daughter is sick and dying. And we have this woman who the writer tells us has been bleeding for 12 years and has suffered under the care of doctors and has spent all she had. And yet, instead of getting better, is actually getting worse. 2 stories, stories of extraordinary miracles which occur as these people encounter Jesus. 2 stories which begin with these people at the point of desperation. They are in desperate need. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the desperation of Jairus as he falls at the feet of Jesus and pleads with him earnestly? Can you imagine the desperation of this woman, having spent all that she has, yet her condition is growing worse, a condition that meant that she was ceremonially and socially unclean as she stood in the crowds. Each of them at the point of desperation. Hope is almost gone. But then Jesus is here. Jesus comes along. And maybe this morning you find yourself at the point of desperation. Maybe this morning you're in crisis. Maybe this morning you find that hope is fading. And this morning, as we look at these stories together, can I remind you that Jesus is here right now? That he is alive, that he is living, that he is here right now. And he is wanting to meet you at the point of your needs. So here we have Jairus, whose daughter is sick, and a woman in desperate need. We don't know what it was about Jesus. We don't know what they had perhaps heard or seen that had led them to believe that Jesus was the one who could indeed help them. But we certainly know that many had heard of the miracles he's performed. Many have heard his words spoken, because we read at the beginning of the passage, a large crowd had gathered. Yet whatever Jairus and this woman had heard, it had filled them with expectation as they came to Jesus. They came with a confidence that he was able to meet them and he was able to turn their situation around. They looked to him alone. He alone was the answer to their problem. He alone was the answer to their great needs. In whatever situation you are facing today, look to Jesus. Both Jairus and this woman looked to Jesus. Jairus proclaims, "My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so she will be healed and live." And the woman said to herself, "If I just touched his clothes, I will be healed." Notice their confidence as they both declared, "will be healed." There's no maybe, possibly. There is a faith declaration there that says, "I will be healed. My daughter will be healed." Simply because Jesus comes along. Because Jesus has the power to perform miracles. For the woman, her healing came first. As she reached out and touched his cloak, we read, immediately her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. She came in need of a miracle, looking to Jesus with confidence and faith that just one touch of his clothes would mean that she would be healed. And realizing that this has happened, Jesus says to her, "Who touched my clothes?" And then we get that awkward situation where the disciples begin to look around them and say, "But there's so many people here. What do you mean, who touched you?" And this woman eventually comes forwards. Now, maybe it had been because of her embarrassment. Maybe it had been because she didn't want a fuss. Maybe it had been because she thought that her uncleanness meant that nobody would let her even get close to Jesus. But whatever the reason was, this woman had sought to claim her healing almost secretly or undercover. Yet Jesus, by his question, "Who touched me?" invites her to come out from the crowd and encounter him face to face. Not to embarrass her or to shame her, but to affirm her healing. For perhaps, had he not, maybe she would have always wondered. And maybe her head would have always been filled with that voice of doubt and accusation that would say, "Are you really healed? Did he really heal you? Did you somehow steal your healing? Am I even worthy of my healing?" Yet Jesus seems to answer any future doubt or accusation as he speaks to her and as he affirms what has happened. We read that she comes and she falls at his feet and she tells him the whole truth. How important is it that we come honestly before Jesus? That we tell him honestly about the situations that we face. No pretense. No dressing it up to look good. Telling him exactly how it is. To tell him our desperation, our hopelessness, our attempt failures to fix it by ourselves. And to tell him that our confidence is in him. And Jesus responds to this woman, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." He tells her, "Daughter, be reminded today of his love towards you, of his great love for you, of his constant love and his constant care." Her healing, this woman's healing, is confirmed. As she encountered Jesus, she was healed. Just one touch and she was healed. It was by the power of Jesus that she was healed. It is by the power of Jesus that we can know healing too. In his name alone. And whilst all this is happening, Jairus receives that news: your daughter is dead. Just imagine the rush of emotion in that moment, the devastation, the feeling of helplessness as he stood there. Yet Jesus tells him, "Don't be afraid. Just believe." Jesus invites him to exercise his faith once more and to encounter him in the now. As we come to Jesus, the one who is alive forevermore, he wants us to encounter him in the now. Yes, he has been faithful. And he has been our God of yesterday, and he will in fact guide and lead us in our tomorrows. But he longs to meet us in our now. He wants to change your life today in the now. For miracles happen in his presence. Miracles happen when we come to him. As that song reminds us, just one touch from the King changes everything. For nothing is impossible with him. Even the dead live. So here we have Jesus coming to Jairus' house, and he goes to Jairus' daughter, takes her by the hand and says to her, "Little girl, I say get up." And we read that immediately the girl stood up and began to walk around. Again, we see this wonderful immediately. We've seen it in the passage before as the woman received her healing. Immediately she was healed. And here again we read immediately that this girl stood up and began to walk around. Nothing is impossible to Jesus. The blind see, the lame walk, the sick are healed, the dead live, miracles occur, healing is found, forgiveness is found, freedom can be ours. We can find that there is provision for our day to day. Nothing is impossible with him. And today will you bring Jesus? Those areas of desperation, the seemingly impossible, the crisis situations, your sickness, those areas of your life that needs a miracle, will you bring them to him today? Because nothing is impossible with him. And by his power and in his name, we can know healing. Will you trust him with the seemingly dead areas of your life? And will you exercise your faith this day, believing he is in his power to perform miracles, in his resurrection power? He is here, now in this moment, ready to meet with you and for miracles to happen in his presence. Remember the words we prayed as we started this year from Habakkuk 3. Lord, I've heard of your fame. I stand in awe of your deeds, Lord. Repeat them in our day, in our time. Make them known in wrath. Remember mercy. So right now, wherever you find yourself, wherever you are, right now, reach out for him today. This woman only needed one touch of his cloak and she was healed. Jairus' daughter just simply needed him to reach out of his hand and she was raised from the dead. Tell him your needs and place your faith in Jesus, in him alone, believing in his miracle working power today. Because he alone is able.
The odds stack against me. I'm surrounded on all sides, but I've heard you can part the waters. So in your name, come and turn the tides. I'm staring at this mountain. No chance I'm getting through, but I've heard they can melt before you. So in your name, I'm asking it to move. Let that breakthrough miracle power pour out. I need a breakthrough miracle, a moment right now. Only in you and with you my victory is found. Bring that breakthrough miracle power, let it rain down. Whoa, the fires around are raging. I feel the heat at every turn, but I've heard that you're in it with me. So now by faith, I'm standing on your word. Yes, in your name, I know I won't be burned. So let that breakthrough miracle power pour out. I need a breakthrough miracle, a moment right now. Only in you and with you my victory is found. Bring that As long as you're in it, the story's not finished. I know you've overcome, so I know I'll overcome. As long as you're in it, the story's not finished. I know you've overcome. I know I'll overcome. As long as you're in it, the story's not finished. I know you've overcome. I know I'll overcome. As long as you're in it, the story's not finished. I know you've overcome. I know I'll overcome. Let that breakthrough, miracle, power pour out. I need a breakthrough, miracle, a moment right now. Only in you and with you, my victory is found. Bring that breakthrough, miracle, power, let it rain. Bring that breakthrough, miracle, power, let it rain down. The cross stands before me. It is finished, it is done. Yeah, I heard you told death it was over. So in your name, I'll claim this fight is won.